I will call this City Council meeting. First off, we will start with an invocation by Rich Iverson of Bethel Church. If you care to stand and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we say thank you for all the gifts that you've given to us. Thank you for your many blessings. Thank you for the gift of life itself, for health, for strength, for friendship. Thank you for meaningful work that you give to us to do. Help us as we bear our appropriate responsibilities and our appropriate callings. Thank you for loving us so well from your good and gracious nature. Lord, you've said that we are to obey the governing authorities since you've established these very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I ask, Lord, that you would grant favor, wisdom to the mayor, to the different city officials, to this assembled council. Lord, would you grant wisdom that they would govern amid the very conflicting interests and issues of our times? Would you give them a good sense of the welfare and true needs of the residents of the city? Would you give them a longing for justice and righteousness? Would you help them to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement? Would you grant them peace in their lives and joy in their leadership? So I pray for the agenda that is set before them today. Give them assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Fergus Falls. In your name we pray, Jesus, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Clayton.
Here.
Freemeyer.
Yes.
Mortensen.
Here.
Rachel.
Here.
Hildy.
Here.
Fish.
Here.
Wolf.
Here.
Kwame.
Here.
We have a quorum. The first item on the agenda is open forum. If anybody wishes to speak to the council on anything that is not already on the agenda, please come forward to the lectern and state your name and the city in which you live.
I'm Kim Evertson. I live here in Fergus Falls, and I'm pleased to be the chairperson of the Public Arts Commission, which is part of the city. I wanted to take an opportunity to thank you for being the grantee to receive the funds that we're using to pay for the sculpture walk. The sculpture walk is advancing nicely. We'll be placing the limestone pedestals soon, and we really appreciate the help of the staff to help kind of figure out how all of this is going to work. So they've been wonderful to work with. And we're really glad that the Lake Region Arts Council and the Heritage Fund was the funder for the pedestals. And we were able to hire the Fergus Monument Company to be able to provide the work on those stones. So again, money is flowing out to small businesses, and that's the hope of the sculpture walk, is that we can use art as one of the ways to encourage people to come to our downtown and frequent our businesses. So thank you very much for being willing to do that. May 31st is the grand opening. I'm sure you'll get more information about that, but it's on a Saturday. Hope you can come and join the crowds that will walk downtown Fergus Falls and be able to view the sculpture and hopefully stop in a lot of the stores. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak to the council?
Pull this down a little bit. Yeah, Lori Mullen, 2840 Lakewood Drive. I've got something that's somewhat time sensitive, and it has to do with economic development. And as the city is moving forward in that arena, I think any tools that we can put in our toolbox are important. Right now, at the federal level, they're looking at what's called the opportunity zones. And back in 2017, our county was designated an opportunity zone over by Pelican Rapids in an area that was not really highly desirable for developing. Well, right now, Washington has extended the opportunity zone, but they're also looking at wanting to know if they should make it permanent. And they're also looking at reassigning parcels. So now is the time to call our congresspeople and tell them that, yes, Fergus Falls should be one of these zones. And they are seriously looking at the reassignment of those. And so why is that important to us? It could be a very important tool for the regional treatment center. I'm not a tax consultant, but I understand that people that are, have capital gains and they're looking at how they can use tax credits, that a percentage of those capital gains can be reassigned to a project. And so this is, like I said, timely, and now is the time to be calling Fishbox office and asking that Fergus be one of these zones. So, thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Would you be able to send a link to that or something, and I'll get it out to the council, or if you?
Actually, I was just, I watch weird shows, and so I was listening to a consultant that handles the tax laws on opportunity zones, and they've been very popular across the United States. When ours was picked in 2017, I actually brought it to the downtown council to talk about. And from my understanding, the county made the decision before it was even brought to the city for discussion. So I think there's a little, some said that the feds were allocating those parcels, and someone else told me that actually there was supposed to be local input. So I don't know what the truth is, but I got my information from a tax consultant that handles opportunity zones.
Okay,
So
thanks.
I will see what I can find.
And I'll do some digging too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Mike Hikas with Helmets for Kids, and I'd like to express my gratitude to the people and businesses of Fergus Falls for supporting my Helmets for Kids program for the last 25 years. Little did I know that when the Otters, Risers, Kiwanis gave me enough money to buy 43 helmets back in 1999, that 25 years later, I would be giving away over 22,000 helmets. I've given away to 3 generations. And I'd like to thank all the businesses of Fergus that donated to the cause. And Friday, I'm giving helmets away. I have a hard time saying no. I was going to stop last year, but now I got talked into doing some this year. Friday, I'm giving helmets at the bike rodeo at the Y in Fergus. And as I approach retirement age, I was going to stop at 25 years, but now I'm going to say 26. I think I need some speech therapy for saying no. No. Yeah. Again, I'd like to thank all the businesses and people of Fergus Falls for supporting me and helped me raise enough money to buy 40 or 22,000 helmets to give away.
That's a lot of helmets. So.
Thank you for all the work that you've done through all those years
Yeah.
to supply all those helmets for those children. We appreciate that.
No good came on my brain injury.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the council? Dwayne? Good. Oh.
Dwayne Cookman, 543 West End. How come everybody cringes when I come up here? I see that on your agenda, on consent agenda, that you have the trails at the dairy site. Has it been designated what's going to go down Stanton?
Not yet. Matt is working out on the drawing to kind of where the railroad, kind of where the original one was, and then kind of like a setback one.
Okay.
Once that drawing's done, I'll get it to you.
Okay,
That's
all right. The other question I had, is there any updates on 801 West Stanton? Is there anything moving forward, or is it just waiting for a developer?
I believe it's just then holding, waiting for somebody to come along.
Okay. Any updates on the golf course?
Buck, have you got anything to add on that?
I met with the golf course, and they're currently operating under the lease that was approved last year.
It's a one-year lease?
One-year lease, that's correct.
Is there negotiating?
There is not.
All right, that's it.
Thank you, Dwayne. Gonna run a little faster, Al.
I guess so. I guess so. My name's Al Frank, 1201 South Concord, Fergus Falls. I've got an issue that I want to address that is a month old, so it's almost water under the bridge, but the last publications in the Daily Journal the last two times, I think it's appropriate. Normally I speak off the cuff, but I brought notes today so I didn't inadvertently quote somebody wrong. I would like to address the council on something I've been concerned about and have been watching for about a month to see if it gets addressed by the council, and it has not been addressed. On March 15th, the Daily Journal published an article that councilperson Rachel's was referring to Greater Fergus Falls, saying the three new council members, Al Krameyer, Mike Mortensen, and Mark Layton, were against Greater Fergus Falls because of their track record. Rachel's went on to say that he couldn't argue the track record, but he also went on to indicate that Greater Fergus Falls was getting kicked around by the three amigos, or whatever you want to call them. I found that statement very divisive, not conducive to unity, and somewhat disparaging to the three council members that it referred to. It was a public statement, and I felt there should have been a public apology. In actuality, they should have been called fellow council members. I spoke to my council person, Laura Job, about it, and she indicated that an apology would be the proper thing. I feel a public apology would go a long ways in showing the public that council is trying to be united. The last two journal publications touched on the fact that the council needs more unity, and I think an apology would be a good step forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Al.
With that, Your Honor, I will make that apology. Do you want me to apologize to you, Al, too, or just the three?
No, I wasn't.
Gentlemen, I do apologize to you. We do have a process that we, if somebody's got a conflict with us, fellow council members, we address each other, come to talk to each other. And I'll do it publicly, but by all means, I apologize to you guys. I won't do it again. If I did something like that, I would just use your names or fellow council members. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you very much.
I'll get you later.
Doesn't have a long arm.
You mean again? No.
No.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations to all the newly elected officials.
Would you get to state your name?
Bob Noah, Fergus Falls. Sorry. It's been 6 months since I've stood up here, and I've been paying attention. What I want to talk about today is this North Point letter. And I just want to read a couple sentences here. The essential element of success has been people who have chosen to unify around a common pursuit, even in difficult circumstances. Unity. And we hope that unity emerges for you as a council, and even more importantly, between the city, business leaders, and citizens. And the citizens part really caught my eye. It brought me back to last year when Councilman Krameyer had initiated town hall meetings right here in this chamber. And it was overflowing crowds. Well, maybe not a crowd, but it was full in here. And a lot of things got accomplished because of those town hall meetings, because they spilled over into other areas like the library. And people don't really realize how much impact that had on the city, and on me personally too. In our Bill of Rights, we're told to peaceably assemble. And I believe that the town hall meetings are not only appropriate, but they should be encouraged right here in this house. Which of us buys a house and doesn't use it, doesn't utilize it? or a car or anything. This chamber is our house. We should be able to use it properly, appropriately. And I can't think of any greater tool that we could use for economic growth than for the citizens to come together once a month or whatever, try an experiment for a year, see how it goes. But we're going to have to do more than keep the citizens out on the margins. We've got to engage the public in order to find some of the answers that are lacking. To me, that's good faith efforts toward unity in the city. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob. Anybody else wishing to speak to the council?
Your Honor, I'd like to speak for a constituent that's unable to attend tonight.
I don't know.
Is that permissible?
I don't know. Is it? I would say no, personally. I would say they should be here.
I'll tell Mr. Levi that's the case. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we will move on to the approval of the agenda. I believe under item F, 6, the resolution regarding the use of remaining state funds for the RTC, we're still waiting on some information on that, so it will get pushed to the next committee of the whole. Other than that, I don't think there are any other changes. If somebody would care to make a motion to...
So moved.
Thank you, Jim. Would somebody care to second it?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Laura.
Your Honor, one thing here, it's been brought to my attention that there's an agenda that
Doesn't
probably
have
that doesn't have 6 on it that was handed out, so people might be a little confused.
Is that right?
Okay.
When I made the copies, after we realized this.
No big deal, but just so
Okay.
people here know.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
So maybe you want to say what 6
Original one
is.
from
I do.
online.
Yep, right, yep.
It was the funding for the
Yep.
RTC. Well, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Hearing none, the agenda is approved. The first item on the agenda is a public hearing, a resolution approving business development for Fergus Falls, $250,000 IRP loan for Fergus Hotels LLC, requesting authorized mayor and city administrator to sign the related IRP loan documents. I will call upon Clara Beck to discuss that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Business Development for Fergus Falls group met at the beginning of April and heard a case regarding Fergus Hotels LLC. They requested a loan from Business Development for Fergus Falls in the amount of $250,000. After performing financial analysis, which BDFF is in agreement with the city to do in order to administer the city's loan funds, the group decided in favor of providing a loan to Fergus Hotels LLC. The information is in your packet, but I will just give some highlights from the project. Fergus Hotels LLC is working on rebranding the Ferguson into a Days Inn by Wyndham. In order to complete that rebranding, they've gone through one round of renovations, and now they're entering into a second round of renovations, which is what this loan will be providing funding for. The terms that Business Development for Fergus Falls has suggested is a 5.5% interest rate on a 20-year amortization with a balloon at 10 years, which is in keeping with a lot of our other IRP loans that we've done in the past. 1.5% origination fee on the loan amount. Again, that is standard in our IRP agreements. All recording fees, personal and corporate guarantees from the borrowers, and key man life insurance policy assigned to the city, all standard with our loan programs. The collateral for the loan is a third position on the real estate at 610 Western Avenue. I believe West Central Initiative is currently in the process of providing a subordination agreement with the city. They do have to go through their own board to do that, but we have been told that that is in the process. The Minnesota state subsidy law does state that a loan from a city over $150,000 requires a public hearing. So that's what we're doing here tonight. Notice was placed in the newspaper over 10 days before the meeting was to be held in as required by the state. So if you have any questions for me about BDFF's recommendation, I'm happy to do my best to answer. I myself do not do the financial analysis. I'm more of like the storyteller to the group, but I'm happy to take back any questions that you might have.
Would somebody care to make a resolution?
I'd offer that.
We do the public hearing first.
Yeah, do the hearing first.
Do that first and then question about it. Yep. So we will open the public hearing on the loan. Anybody wishing to speak to it, please step forward. My first one, inducted into the Hall of IRP fame. Nobody wishes to step forward. Public hearing is closed. Now,
I'll offer that resolution.
thank you, Scott, and thank you, Jim. And any questions of Clara?
Your Honor. Yeah, Your Honor, I do. Clara, can you tell me where the 1.5% origination fee goes to? Does that come into the city, goes into our main budget? Where does it go?
Into the IRP account.
Okay, so just in the IRP account that's left in there for others to use and different things like that.
Exactly.
I don't know if Maya and Imran Khan, are they here tonight? Do we know, Your Honor?
No,
They're
I
not
don't
in
believe so.
attendance.
I don't see them.
But I want them to know online or when they watch this how much I appreciate them and what they're doing out there. This is a couple individuals that have taken 2 hotels on the edge of our city and completely restored them back to be productive for our city. They've put a lot of money into this. They worked hard on this. I think put everything into this, and I want to thank them publicly here for what they've done for our city. They are going to increase revenue to the city through the housing and tax through the hotels, and they're going to increase traffic to this city in those 2 hotels. And so I am very appreciative of them. The 5.5%, I'm not super appreciative of that, but that is okay. But that origination fee, and I'm going to say it, and the council might change, do we have the ability to waive that origination fee? It's $3,750 for Maya and Imran Khan as a thank you from this city that you're fixing 2 hotels that are on the front door of our city to increase revenue to this city for shopping, hotels, everything that's being done with that. I'd like to make a motion to waive that origination fee if Rolf thinks that that's possible.
I think we have to finish the first motion first.
Can we have a motion on the floor?
Sure,
Then-
sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mortensen. Who is on the BDFF committee in regards to financial analysis?
Jeff Stanilowski, Lonnie Baldwin, Holly.
The board currently consists of Lonnie Bolwig, who is the chair, Michael Olson, who is a representative of the HRA, Jeff Stanislawski, who is a banker, Holly Piccarini, who is with Affinity Plus Credit Union, Scott Rachels is our council member, and Jen Schmidt is the CFO of Vector Windows.
Thank you. And are those documents privy to just that committee, or can a councilman see them?
Council may come to the community development office and view documents, yes.
Thank you. In regards to the key man insurance, is that, since this is I believe, a husband-wife, is it a joint life policy, or are there 2 policies?
I think that they did 2, so they have another loan through the city as well. I believe that they did 2 separate and would maybe keep it the same for this one, but don't quote me fully
Yeah,
on that.
it'd be nice to have that understanding. And, they're both working hard. I'm an old life insurance guy. If you're husband, wife with a young family, they're both earners, regardless if they're employed or not. So thank you very much. And I will echo Mr. Martinson's position. They've done a great job.
The only thing I would say, I mean, being on the BDF kind of board, is that you do this this time, and you set a precedence that in the future, it would be more challenging to kind of do an origination fee going forward. So, well, obviously, it will be the council's pleasure on what they do, but remember that there are always consequences to everything that we do down the road. Other people have taken similar loans, and that obviously hasn't been a relief for them.
Your Honor, do we give the opportunity to, Mike is here, Scott is here, for them to speak on their opinion on that, being that they've been part of board discussion, if they want to?
Mike,
I'll just say that Anthony's right. If the next time we do another loan like that, they're going to, ask if they could have that, then it's not our policy. And I agree with Mike. It's a good deal. They're a hardworking family, and every little bit helps them. But that's why we're filling this gap for them to get this thing done. So we can discuss that he'll make the next motion if we vote on this, and then we can kind of go into that more. So.
Okay. So with that, we have obviously a resolution on the floor to approve this loan. We are roll call.
Wheaton.
Yes.
Creameyer.
Yes.
Mortensen.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Kildee.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Kwame.
Yes.
The resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is the final cost hearing for PI 8231.
Your Honor?
Do you want
Yep.
to talk about?
We better go back to Mr. Mortensen's motion he made early before this.
So how do you want to handle that?
Make a motion and see if it gets seconded, and then you can talk.
Let's go for it. I make a motion that these two individuals have done so much for our community and they're working very hard that I want them to know that this city appreciates them. I know there's ramifications for other ones that come forward, but this is important. I think at this time it's the face of our city. I make a motion that we waive the 1.5% origination fee, which is $3,750 for Maya and Imran Khan as a thank you to the city.
Do we have a second?
I second it. Not even knowing it was coming up, Mike.
Thank you, Mark. Roll call, or,
We should
yeah,
probably make that a resolution.
yep, I think,
Okay, so Wheaton.
Yes.
Creameyer.
Yes.
Mortensen.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Kildee.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Kwame.
Yes.
the resolution is approved. We will now move to the final cost hearing for PI 8231 and 7224, the water and sanitary sewer mains on Scenic Drive. Resolution adopting the assessments for the said projects, contingent approval of awarding the contract, and that will call upon Bill.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Council, before you tonight is, we'll be holding a final cost hearing. So after I give a brief overview of the projects, then you'll open the hearing and allow the public to speak, and then it'll be back to the council. But this is a sewer and water project out on Scenic Drive out in the Pebble Hills area. This project was put together by our engineering department, so they drew up the plans and specs, and Andrew and I reviewed those with them this afternoon. So Andrew, pipe in where I forget something here as I go through this for you. But we have 3 different maps. They were in your packet. You can see this first one, and I'll try and speak loudly. I'm going to go over to the map, and I'll just talk through a little bit the boundaries of it. So we're looking at putting in water and sewer along here. Now it's broke up in 2 sections. Do you want to go down to the next one? We can see the sewer section right there, and then water from here. And you can see this line, and I'm not quite tall enough, but coming here, down, and around, that's a sewer line that was already in. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So this parcel already has assessments for the sewer for the water, right, Andrew? We got water up to here,
No,
but sewer is served here.
the sewer goes the whole way, the water does not currently.
That's right, sewer the whole way. So this parcel there's already assessments for sewer on that. So you're gonna see as we walk through this, there's no sewer assessments for that portion there. We're talking about here for sewer, water for here. We do have one more map in there with a little bit more of a picture on that. It's maybe a little easier to see the one prior that had the colors on it. So as we look at levying these assessments, we held a preliminary cost hearing where engineering came to you with an estimate of what we thought the cost would be. They were looking at that time, for the sewer system to be $11,800 per unit. After receiving bids, that is down to $8,415 per unit. So a good reduction from that preliminary cost hearing. In other words, bids came in very favorable. And then for the water was estimated at $9,100, down to $7,700 now today. Now, something different with this project is, yes, these assessments will be levied, but they're all going to be put on a deferred status. So they won't become active and won't start being billed this September like we would on a normal project. Now, in the notices, we still put, what did we have? Till maybe was it the end of May? May 30th to pay. So if someone wanted to come in and pay their assessments and never have an interest charge on that, you could do that by May 30th. Now, they're all going to be set to deferred until they're connected. So this is going to provide utilities to future development there, so that if someone wants to sell their lot that they own there's some developers that have lots, there's people that have back lots that is really part of their, yard probably right now. But if they chose to sell that in the future, then when a structure is connected to the utilities is when that would become active. No interest is going to accrue during the time of that deferral. So it'll be deferred now, no interest until it's connected. And then when it's connected, they would have the 15 years to pay for that, and interest, of course, would accrue on that. We're doing that, one, to spur development in this area, because when I was clumsily talking about the sewer that's already been put in there, already been assessed, all that is on deferred. So these are just putting it on deferred like the other assessments. If we were doing this project somewhere else where we didn't have existing deferred assessments, we probably wouldn't be deferring them. You typically do not, but this is a special case because we've had this previous infrastructure that came out, which was the goal of getting that whole area to develop in the first place. So that's a little bit of the history, and I want to make sure if there's any residents here, the plan is for this to be set to deferred now and no interest accruing now until something is connected. As far as the final cost, when we look at the sewer project, that's project 7224, the total project's costs come in at $103,035. We're looking at an interest rate of 5.5%, and that's based on our estimated bond rate. That's how our assessments are set, and it's 2% above that for administering the assessment programs. And they'd have over 15 years to pay for that. The amount of the deferred special assessments on that sewer for the residents' parcels is $45,860. The city share for sanitary sewer main for 5 units is $42,075. And then city share direct cost for 8-inch sanitary sewer main, $15,100 for that total of $103,035. And then we have the breakdown there of the PIR 429. If we were to bond for this, these do qualify because we're assessing more than 25% of the project. We're going to pay for this out of cash out of the sewer fund, and that's been built into the capital improvement plan as well, but it does qualify for that. If we look over to the water project, that has a total project cost came in at $186,700. The special assessment portion of that is $123,200, and then the city share coming out of the water fund would be $63,500. Again, at that 15 years at 5.5% interest. I think that kind of covers it. Andrew, am I forgetting anything? So we want to thank our engineering department for putting this together and going through it with us again today too. That was helpful. So with that, if you want to open the hearing, and then we can see if there's questions from there.
The hearing is open. Does any residents wish to come and speak to this project? I
have a question.
Please come forward.
Okay,
You need to state your name and city.
I own a lot
And when I look on that, there's, on the upper left, there's 3 yellow shaded ones. Mine is the 4th one, and that is in white. But that one should be the same as the other ones, because the 5th lot down is where the existing home is. So for some reason, they maybe, see, it's got my name on there, Stegan, so some reason it didn't get put on that shading, but I don't know if that's included or if that's just something you missed when you made the map.
They want you to go over and use Burrington's, that's what's.
I think they were shading to show that they were back lots or adjoining lots, because does that adjoin another lot of yours, or is that just?
No.
Okay. I think that was their goal, was just showing, we're highlighting the ones that are adjoining lots to people that are living right there.
Oh, okay.
So, because you did get your notice, right? And,
Right, yeah, okay.
yep, so should be good.
Any other comments?
Your Honor, before you close it, I did receive one written objection today from a resident, and I'll just read that into the record as part of the public hearing this evening. It says, City Council members, as owner of Lot 3, Block 1 of Section 13, Township 132, Range 43, Pueblo Hills Estates, First Edition, I object to the sanitary sewer project as proposed. I will receive no benefit from the project. I purchased the property to keep anyone from building on it. I do not plan on improving it. If the project is approved, I would request that the special assessments be classified as deferred, which is how we're presenting it this evening. Then it says, note, I consider the proposed assessment of $11,465 excessive, as it is more than half the amount that I paid for the lot. Signed, Gerald Linneman, 3417 Pebble Hills Drive, Fergus Falls, Minnesota. That was the only correspondence we received prior to tonight's public hearing.
With that, so would somebody care to make a resolution?
I will offer the resolution, Your Honor.
Thank you, Jim. Would somebody care to second it?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Thank you, Scott. Roll call.
Is there discussion, sir?
Well, would
Thank
like
you.
discussion?
Bill, help me. Let's say I own one lot and I'm going to bring water in and sewer. What's my assessment?
So if you own one, it's the,
Depends on which one.
so I'm going to add up the 3 different unit amounts is what I'm going to do here.
And may I have them
Get to a
individually?
calculator. Others of you probably have it by now. So 19,165, does that sound about right? I took the 7,700 for water, and then sanitary sewer, the 8-inch main at 8,415, plus a sanitary sewer service coming to your property line of $3,050 for 19,165.
Thank you. And I would recommend the city consider bonding as an opportunity here to freeze those monies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mike?
Well, Your Honor, I have a question about the actual awarding the bids, but if you want me to talk about it now, should I just bring it up now? It's the same thing pretty
Same
much in what we're looking at. Bill, can you, when I was looking at the bids, it looked like the bids ranged, the one low bid was here, and then the next one was like at 40,000 more up to 95,000 more. So there was that one really odd out bid that was really, really low, which was even 60,000 below our estimates, I think, from our engineers. Do we have some protections for cost overruns? You know, if they come in at that and then, hey, this thing instead of 222, this thing's 350. What's our protection on the overruns, or does that get ran off to the property owners or the city, I guess?
Well, so as far as running off to the property owner, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but what we're assessing here is what's done then. So if there is some overrun, we can't pass that on to the property owner unless you were to hold another assessment hearing and go through the process again. So we would have to absorb that in that utility fund then, if that was the case, if there is an overrun. You could maybe speak a little bit more to the bid and the contract.
Yeah, I would just say, Your Honor, Councilmember Bortson, the bid is what the contract is written to, and to veer from the bid or the bid pricing, there would have to be change orders that would come back before the city council. What our city staff does when they open bids is they verify the low bid. They make sure they interview the apparent low bidder to ensure that there's no mistakes in their bid. They go line by line and make sure all the numbers are appropriate for unit prices, but also that there's no math errors, so we don't have any surprises. And all of that work has been done. So any changes, if you approve the contract tonight, you're locking in this bid of $222,881.67. And to veer from that in any way, it would require a change order, which would have to be consented to by the city.
Which then, I appreciate, Andrew, what then would be the city's cost, because we as a council, we voted for it, and we're going to do it, not the taxpayer.
Correct.
Thank you. With that, any other questions? Not, roll call.
Clayton.
Yes.
Freemeyer.
Yes.
Mortensen.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Kildee.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Plum.
Yes.
The next item is awarding of bids, was a resolution awarding the contract for PI 8231 and 7224, the scenic drive improvements to Kotzer Excavating Inc. in the amount of $222,881.67. Would somebody care to make that resolution?
So moved.
Thank you. Would somebody care to second it?
I'll second it, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any discussion? With none, roll call.
Clayton.
Yes.
Freemeyer.
Yes.
Mortensen.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Plum.
Yes.
Right, the next item on the agenda is under petitions and communications, and we'll call upon our Fire Chief Ryan Muckow regarding a civilian life-saving award for Riverside Court residential fire.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to be here this evening and to acknowledge the actions of one of our residents. On April 3rd, a family in our community suffered a significant property loss when a fire occurred in their home. For those who have personally experienced one or know someone who has, you know firsthand how terrible such an event can be. That fire on that day, we firmly believe could have turned tragic if it was not for the actions by Abby Albert. Abby was several houses away providing home health care when she noticed the smell of smoke. And a little history to Abby's background is she had witnessed a neighbor's home on fire many years ago, so it was a specific smell that cued into her that didn't seem right. While she could have disregarded it and thought of maybe nothing, she chose to walk several houses down, and that is where she found a home that had smoke coming from the eaves and fire along the side of it. So with that, I would welcome Abby to come forward with our Assistant Chief, Tyler Armstrong. And then also if City Administrator Andrew Bremsoth would come over as well. And Abby is joined with her family here tonight as well. So Abby, tonight we present to you the Civilian Life-Saving Award for your vigilance and curiosity to investigate a smoke smell on April 3rd, 2025, which led to the discovery of smoke coming from the eaves of a home and fire visible along the side. Upon the arrival of both the fire and police departments, it was determined that a resident was asleep inside, unaware of the fire, which emphasizes the importance of your actions. Your actions had a direct impact on the safe evacuation of the occupant. It is for this reason that we proudly present to you the fire department's highest civilian citation, the Civilian Life-Saving Award. Congratulations. Thank you, Your Honor and members.
And thank you very much, and trust that everybody is well.
Yes, yep, as far as we know. And we did try to make some phone contact with the residents, but they were not able to be here. So, thank you.
Thank you, Brian and your team. The next item on the agenda is a proclamation declaring April 25th as Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoils by wind and water cutting, heating and cooling systems, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas the trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic viability of business areas and beauty of our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Anthony Hicks, Mayor of the City of Fergus Falls, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the City of Fergus Falls. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And I further urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Dated this, the 21st day of April, 2025. As many of you know, Fergus Falls is a tree city, and we do as much as we have removed some trees, we also do a job of planting them back again. So, thank you. With that, we can move on to the consent agenda. There are 9, I believe, 13 items on the consent agenda. Would somebody care to make a resolution to approve them? Thank you, Al. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Laurel. Roll call.
Clayton.
Yes.
Freemeyer.
Yes.
Mortensen.
Yes.
Yes.
Hilton.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Kwame.
Yes.
Thank you. The resolution is approved. The next item is ordinance and resolutions. Is the first reading of Ordinance 66, 8th Series, amending Chapter 154.173, pylon signs.
I'll offer it, Your Honor.
Thank you, Scott. The second item is the second reading of Ordinance 65, 8th Series, repealing the Chapter 120 of the THC product sales. With that, I think we'll need a roll call.
Clayton.
Are we on 1 or 2, Your Honor?
2.
Number 2.
Yes.
Just read, the first one just gets read, and that's it.
Freemeyer.
Yes.
Mortensen.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Hilton.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Kwame.
Yes.
Your Honor, why don't you read that whole word? I'm trying to read it myself, and I can't get it to come out.
I'm not gonna go there. Unless Emily would like to do it for me.
Wow.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the resolution authorizing the transfer of tax increment financing funds from the Sunset Ridge Apartments of Fergus Falls LLLP to Fergus Falls Apartment Developers LLC. We obviously had discussion about this on the Committee of the Whole Wednesday. So with that, I think we look for a resolution. And
Your
then
Honor, I would like to
discussion.
make a motion to table this. Hold either a closed session or work session on TIF. I've spent a great deal of time on the numbers, a great number time on the original TIF project, and I believe there's some outstanding matters here that the council should be aware of. I have a full book of information that I could share if you have the time. We're going to give this guy $600,000. He's going to only spend about 200 of it. He's going to pocket 400 right away. I understand the importance.
He's made a motion, you should have a second.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Right, thank you, Mike.
We can just vote to table or not, right?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? What are we trying to accomplish, or is there specific information that we're looking for clarification on if we're tabling it? And is this a reason we can even go into a closed session?
That's my question.
Whether you can go into a closed session, I can make that determination at a later date, but I can't make it right now because I'm not sure what's going to be presented.
I would prefer to have a candid conversation that doesn't reflect the buyer or the seller. Bring the council to awareness of the actual dollars that are costing the city and the taxpayers of Otter Tail County. The benefit of the people who are getting the reduced rent. Some of the items that Herzog indicated when they were here, I look at as being somewhat of a carrot in front of the donkey. There's a great deal of information that hasn't been presented based on the original TIF agreement. We are subject to call that information under Articles 3, 3.7, Sections 2A through 5. So, Ralph, I'd look for your assistance here, as if this can be at least tabled temporarily to be addressed.
You've made the motion. It's a proper motion before the council. They can vote on it.
Your Honor, whether we grant it to Mr. Herzog or don't grant it, the money doesn't come to the county or the city or the school. I mean, it stays, nothing changes. Not a thing. So it's not costing the taxpayer any money. So I'm not sure where you're coming from, Mr. Layton. I don't understand that.
I'm just going to interject here. I mean,
Okay,
the motion to table really isn't really a debatable motion. It's just really an up or down vote whether you wish to table this or
There's no
not.
discussion.
No discussion.
So, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those against, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
I think the motion is defeated, 5-3.
Do I dare go into the facts of this TIF transfer?
Now we need a resolution to.
I'll
approve.
offer it, Your Honor.
Thank
Get it
you.
going.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jim. Now we have a resolution to approve it as it's on the agenda. So now we're gonna have a discussion about it.
Correct.
Yep. So anybody wishes to speak to the resolution?
If I would, please. The city application of this TIF district was in favor of the original developer. We have learned there are many details which must be discussed. Details ranging from the legalities of the transfer, taxpayer dollars, terms of the transfer, and how this should be handled in 2030, which is the end of the original period. But the TIF district stays open till, if I read it correctly, 2041. So at that point, the existing owner or the new owner could extend this again.
Bill, I was gonna say Bill can.
Yeah, the owner can't extend the TIF district. The city council set the boundaries of that with that development agreement. The TIF district, by law, could stay open till then, but the council at that time said, we're gonna do a development agreement for this and it'll be done 2030. So when that note is done, then we'll decertify. We wouldn't extend it. I guess we could see what the council wanted to do at that time, but yeah, it may even just have to get decertified at that time because the obligations were paid in 2030.
Yeah, well, thank you for the clarification. The total benefit of any buyer is some $600,000. Let's just round it, please. The total benefit, if he maintains his TIF credits, is going to cost the new owner $240,000. So at that point, they're going to pocket right away $360,000, using 21 apartments as originally dictated in this TIF. Mr. Rachels, I do agree with you. We don't have that money now, but we can capture it if we wish. I believe that the initial developer has earned a great deal of money on this deal, and it looks like the new buyer is going to earn a great deal on it as well. I'm willing to look at this a little bit further and closer. If he's only got 21 units, he's only going to spend 240,000 out of the 600. And maybe he has 40 units. Maybe he has 50 units that are subsidized. In a willing buyer and a willing seller situation, I think this is about a $5 million.
All we're doing tonight is talking about the transfer. It's not, I mean, we know we have a willing buyer and we have a willing seller. And so our purpose this evening is to discuss the transfer. It's not to go into the details of the buyer or the seller.
I understand. I might be splitting hairs here. And that's why I wanted to take this into a special meeting. There's a great deal of detail here that this council doesn't have. And may I add, there's a great deal of information here this council doesn't comprehend. I would challenge any of the council members, even my best friends, to come and tell me what this thing is really costing the city and what benefits were given to this other person. It's $600,000. And we look at local grants, local government aid from the state of Minnesota, the county, that's going to look at about a 6% real estate tax increase. And we don't know what the state's going to do to their city local government aid. There's just too much happening that this shouldn't be tabled to allow us to discuss it in more detail. I am not in favor of it.
And
Just to,
Al?
Can I speak?
Yep.
Thank you. I've been doing some thinking. And Mr. Herzog, I still remember back when I was on the Planning Commission before you built the apartment complex by the Veterans Bridge. When we had those meetings then. That, when I asked April, I said, does Herzog Properties have any delinquencies or deficiencies against with the city of Fergus Falls? And she said yes. The apartment building gets built, it's 12 feet into the right-of-way. I don't know why that happened, but it did. TIF should have been taken away, or part of it should have been taken away then, in my opinion. I looked up some complaints or violations, whatever you want to call it, throughout the years, and it goes from 17 to 21. It goes from mowing to refuse accumulation and things of that nature. And then I find out that you've sold some of those, or maybe all of those properties, I don't know, but I do know some of them are gone. You know, as my thinking is, are you going to do that to this one? That's my thoughts. My other thoughts are, TIF is out there to not facilitate a sale, in my opinion. It's to facilitate a building of an apartment. You know your business well, as I know my business, as everybody else knows their business. You know it better than probably anyone. The last company who came to purchase that, they came in front of us once, and then I believe it was 2 weeks after that, they formed an LLC, the same company, and tried to get it again. TIF. So evidently there's money there. It's a huge incentive to have that. Or it's extra profit. And I don't mind somebody making profit, but this is a taxpayer dollar. I think most of us were elected here to watch the taxpayer dollar.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
I will have a.
So representing the developer.
Do you have a question for Sam?
I can answer the questions that were presented. I believe there was just a couple of the city members today. I think Andrew could speak to this. They can state that every rental that we have in the community of Fergus Falls is in the best classification and in full compliance. I'm not going to state, like, when you own rental properties, we've had issues in the past. I believe having a lot of units, at times, we subcontract all the mowing. We had to switch at one point, as you referenced, because mowing wasn't getting done in efficient time. I'm not going to say we've been perfect. We haven't been. I will say I believe we've continued getting better. And as you referenced, from 17 to 21, I don't think there's been as many issues in recent years as we've continued to grow and become a better company. So no, I don't believe I've made a sale of an apartment complex. In fact, I made a purchase in 2022 and 2023 of buildings in the community of Fergus Falls, and I have not sold a building. I sold some single-family houses in 2020, and I don't believe I've sold one since.
Yeah, I believe there were houses because there's one sold in 18, 19, another one in 18, another one in 19, and another one in 19.
Yeah, and so, I mean, selling some single-family homes I don't believe is relevant, 5 or 6 years ago. We've switched to be more focused on apartment complexes. That's what this is that we're looking at. I also really want to remind the members of the council, Your Honor, that TIF isn't just for the affordability. It's for the viability of the project. We're not getting, as the buyer, we're paying the seller for that TIF note. We're not getting a discount on the property. That's not our money. The seller is getting paid for that because that's part of how the seller created the viability of the project. And I can't speak to the financials, but the building costs of that building back when it was built is not very different than what the sale price is now. I don't think there was a huge margin of profit on this project for this developer, but obviously it's not my numbers and it wasn't my construction project. But I can tell you our intention is to be here in the long run. And if you look at my purchase and operation of multifamily, I do think that would testify to that.
I just wanted to make one more comment, which I didn't get to. After the apartment complex by the Veterans Bridge was finished, and at that point in time, I know that there were some issues there, and that was the #1 apartment complex for police service the first year.
It could have been. I think that most of us, if we looked back 8 years ago, we would like to be able to look back and say we've learned from mistakes that were made. We changed our process of background checks after that complex, and I think if you look at the history of how that complex has run since, you'll see it would testify to that. And so I'm not going to say I did everything perfectly. We could get into what happened 8 years ago on that complex, which I don't think is necessarily relevant. There was mistakes, I think, on both sides in that process. I'm going to own the fact that we weren't perfect. That was our second apartment building that we'd ever built as a company. We've built 2,000 units around the state now. We're not the same company we were then. I'm not the same person I was then. I think we're all continuing to grow and improve. And I think our acquisition of this is just another step in what we're intending to do to help the community of Fergus Falls.
Mike, you had a question?
Yes, Your Honor, I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Herzog, or I know you go by Sam, or...
I go by all the above. Sam, Samuel. Samuel to my mother, Sam to most other people.
Some of your, I'd heard some friends of yours on the council call you Sammy. That's something I'll never do to you. I'll call you Mr. Herzog. And I'll get to my stuff, Your Honor. I see a lot of you and me. We are cut out of the same cloth somewhat. We know how to make money. Cash flow, that's exactly your business, my business, and we know how to make money when we sleep. If you and I were doing business together, if I had a piece of property and you were doing an apartment complex, we'd be going right on step because I know what you're doing and where it's at. But the one thing I want you to know tonight is that I'm not in my company tonight. What I am is I'm working for everybody in the city of Fergus Falls tonight, so I don't want you to take any of this personally. I just want you to kind of hear where we're at. I'm working for 14,100 people in this community, and I've been beat up before, even in the newspaper, for having my own interests. This is the interest of the community, why I bring this up here tonight, okay? What we're looking at here, and I want the community to know, is we're looking at giving this individual just about $600,000 of taxpayer money, and that's the plain facts. This is your money that would have came in with the tax, and this individual is going to get it to be able to buy an apartment complex and then do some housing of 21 units. And that tax money, to everybody in this city, I want you to know that that's tax money you're not going to get back for him to help these 21 units. Where that tax money goes, and maybe Bill will help me out, but that tax money that's leaving us to go to Mr. Herzog is tax money that would have helped our fire department, would have helped our police department, would have helped our roads, would have helped many things in this community so we can be safer, police can get there quicker, and fire departments can fight the fires just like the heroes that we looked at tonight. The other thing, as I walked this city when I was campaigning, people would say to me, Mike, watch anywhere that you can that we can save some money for this city. This city has spent itself down. This is an actual opportunity right now, if we said no to this tonight, which I will, that we're able to save this city some money. Now, I know you'll say, well, if it continues on, I don't buy it, it'll continue. That's true. But this is an opportunity that if you decide to go forward to buy that, which I know you're a great businessman and you know how to do it, we will save some of that money. When I was walking the ward, people said, make sure you fix the roads. That's done with this money if we didn't have to give it to you. They said, make sure with cannabis coming legal in the state that you support our police department. That would happen from this money if we didn't give it to you. They said to me, make sure, even though you didn't like the aquatic center, make sure that you fund that aquatic center, which is going to be something that we're going to have to do and we could do with that money. Make sure that this splash pad, Spees Park, all of it is done with taxpayer money. And that money, if it doesn't stay in-house with us and it goes to you, we do not have that money to do those things. And so I look at this as something for the city. I look at my vote tonight as a no for you and your company, not you, Mr. Herzog, individually. But I look at this as the greatest yes vote I've ever done for my community in my life. Every single one of the people here, to know that I did everything I could to support everything I talked about to make sure I was doing right by our city. We don't have an open checkbook to just throw around, Mr. Herzog, and I commend you. We just don't. We don't. $600,000 could do a lot for us. Bill, could you just let us know, Bill?
Mike, we need to kind of keep moving.
Bill, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay.
Bill,
I think.
Can I make one response
I was
to that?
going to say a point of clarification. The 600,000 is not the city of Fergus Falls alone. So just so that people in the audience know.
That includes the school district, it includes the county. And the other thing is tax increment. If he doesn't buy the thing, we're still going to pay tax increment until 30 for the people that haven't.
Your Honor, can I?
No, we need to keep moving. Scott, did you have
Can
something?
we?
Yeah.
No, let's call for a vote. Let's just see what's going to happen.
May I say
something? When he calls the question, it's a
calls the
vote.
question,
There's no
so-
discussion.
Yeah. So
Can I hear the motion, please?
it's on the paper. It's a resolution approving the authorizing the transfer of the tax increment financing funds from Sunset Ridge Apartments of Fergus Falls LLP to Fergus Falls Apartments Developers LLC.
Thank you for the transparency to the public that are here and on the television.
We have a
I
call
vote
for the vote, so we have to do the vote.
Leighton.
no.
Kramer.
No.
Mortensen.
No.
Rachel.
Yes.
Kildee.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Kwame.
Yes.
The resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is the resolution approving an interim use permit for Sugar High at 112 East Washington Avenue in a B3 General Business District with conditions. And Clara, you're going to lead that?
We had some robust conversation about both of these interim use permit requests at the meeting on Wednesday. And is there something happening? Okay. So I don't know that we need to necessarily get back into that. Council has requested some conversation about conditions. I think I will let you guys get into that. But if you had any questions about the projects themselves at this point in time that you want answered before you enter into your conversation, I'm happy to help with those right now.
Just to remind people the conditions that were talked about on Wednesday was hours of operation, moving it from 5 years to 2 years, that there would be no sampling in the stores, or consumption, and, you know, getting clarification from residents that were upstairs to sign off, you know, that they were agreeable to this action.
I can maybe provide a few updates. We did hear from the building owner that there is consent from the current residents that would be above the possible location of Sugar High, that they have no objection to a cannabis business being below them. And then just also as a reminder, city code already does regulate the hours of a cannabis business to be between 8 and 8. I believe the conditions that would be set through the council were placing the time at 10 to 8 p.m.
Your Honor, one question, if that's okay. Everything that's being sold, can you clarify, is going to be sold in package? It will be sealed. There'll be no loose product. Is that correct? And that should help with the scent?
I'm getting a thumbs up from
Yeah,
the audience.
okay.
Yes, it will be packaged materials.
I brought a sample to show you.
And Your Honor, when I was talking about this, visiting these other stores in the other states, I just assumed that they were all the same. And then after I received their email, this is a sealed package store, so don't know anything about that. But if it's sealed, it can't smell, I don't believe. And that's when I questioned about the odor, and that was now that's kind of addressed, I believe. So.
Mike?
Your Honor, point of order. We don't have the resolution on the floor yet, do we, or do we?
I will
No.
offer the resolution.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, yeah.
I'll second that. Get discussion.
Thank you, Scott.
Now you can get to going now. Go ahead.
The reason I ask that is there's like 4 conditions that we're voting on here. And one of those is the 2-year mark.
Correct.
Which I think is, for me, is unacceptable for a business. I think the 5-year mark should have been there because of the money that was put in there. I would be, as a business person, very upset if I put $250,000 into a billboard and 2 years later the city could take it away. So I'm against that 2-year. And also, if we're talking about things in packages, the business or the property owner is being pushed to a level to put together some type of, I don't know if it was an exhaust thing or what came through. The motion was so fast that we're putting some things on them with the resolution motion today. Do we still want to do that, or do we want to vote down this resolution, bring something back up?
We probably should, but just the odor is a state-controlled thing, not a city-controlled thing. So the state imposes the odor control plan.
That he has to exhaust it out of that
Correct.
building, but
Yep.
but Sugar High or
Yep.
Elevate didn't.
No, he has to.
He has to do
It wasn't in
also.
his resolution, though. I didn't see it. I didn't see it in his resolution.
So it's not in the resolution because it's a state requirement.
Yes, but it's in our resolution that I'm going to say Sugar High has to do that. The building owner, Sander, has to do that in our resolution. It says there in it. It's one of the 4. And if we're going to have sealed packages and we're going to make a business property owner put in who knows how much money that's over the top in our resolution, and we're only going to give them 2 years, we're really not being business friendly. Whether I like cannabis or not, we are not being business friendly to this entity. So I'm wondering if we can vote down the motion, come back with some other stuff, but that'll be the council's decision. I'm trying to sort through, if we vote for this, which it is, boom, those restrictions are on them right now.
So, well, the resolution on the floor at this point in time is
Just plain, right?
plain
Yeah.
with conditions, right? So it is with the 4 conditions.
That's what
So
Jim-
we would have to vote that down and then make a new resolution to amend it.
I would, I know the resolution's there, but I would make a high recommendation that we vote and that my colleagues vote that down here to start a little bit new for this company.
Can we do that?
Clara, I'm sorry.
No.
Mr. Hicks.
I can't vote affirmative.
Do these people comply entirely to the ordinance that Fergus Falls has?
Yes.
Distance, etc.
Yes, yep.
So, Your Honor, I believe that they agreed to all of it, what the 4 conditions are. And I know what Mike's talking about too. It wasn't in the other for Elevate, but the state tells us what we can and can't really do, except for we just all we can really do is pick where it goes. Is that about it? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, but I think what Mike's concern is the 2 to 5 years. Yeah, and I mean, I would agree with Mike. It's a huge investment to have. They have annual compliance checks. So if they don't pass that compliance check, they would get their license pulled anyway. So I think, as you say, it's
Well,
you know.
can I ask a question? So if we're looking at going from 2 to 5 years, what are some additional conditions that are going to be brought to us if we vote this no? Is that the only one in question?
Only one, I think it's fine.
So would the other way, can you make an amendment to a resolution? So the other would be that we make an amendment to the resolution that if Jim and Scott would be agreeable to reduce it from, or to increase it back from the 2 to the 5 years. Would you be agreeable?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then are we removing the scent issue, the 4th condition? Are we keeping that?
Here's
The
how I
only
would
thing we're doing
look
is
at it.
changing the amount of time.
Only the
From
time.
2 to
Okay.
5 years.
Okay.
I would look at it as you're fine to include that as a condition since that condition is being met through other avenues already, and that would be something that we'd be checking as time goes on. So through the building code process, and then also through our local registration process.
Plus, if it posed a problem in the future, it could be addressed.
Exactly.
It's easier to pull an interim use permit than it is to pull a conditional use permit. Is that kind of what the difference is? It's-
Just based on the
If they
annual
if they
review.
fail, they can get it pulled. So.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. So we have a roll call, please.
No, Mayor, could I
He's
comment?
got to, if he's going to.
I said
He has to be second.
He did agree.
Was there a second?
Yes.
Scott.
Okay.
Scott, you had a question?
Well, I've got a comment. Again, when we talked about this before, the clear ability that we have is to put any conditions we deal with appropriate. It says so right in our interim use code. We can put any condition on there that we want, that we feel is
Within
appropriate.
A reasonable.
As long as we feel it's reasonable, we can do any condition we want. That's the way it reads. As far as the questions about odor, you could walk down the candy aisle at Fleet Farm and you can smell the sugar. You can walk down the cleaning products aisle at Service Food and you can smell the soap. You're going to smell this stuff outside the building, not just upstairs. And so I think the idea that it's in a sealed package is a red herring, and it's not a viable argument in my case. I'll be voting against this.
Thank you. Right.
Are we at the official vote of this
Yes, we are.
to go through and be done, and we know what the changes are?
Yep.
Then I need to bring something up that I think is important for this council to consider. Do you give me the liberty to do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So one of our
Can you put the mic down?
One of our requirements in Ordinance 59 is that we, Section 121.12, the minimum buffer requirements for a facility to be in use in our city. And if I go down to the 4th paragraph, the City of Fergus Falls shall prohibit the operation of cannabis business within 250 feet, which was the council's action, of an attraction within a public park that is regularly used by minors, including a playground or athletic field, as measured from the edge of the real property on which the public park, comma, playground, comma, or athletic field is located. I believe that this facility, where Sugar High was before, was functioning at the best capacity they could within those limits. I believe that this facility now at 112 Washington does not satisfy our code, and I think what it does is it actually breaks our code of allowance in our city. Upon measurement from the real estate property of that building to the real estate property of City Park, which we're sitting on right now, it's 216 feet. So it's 35 feet short of what the city council had said was a $250 or 250-foot measurement. So what I'd like to see is I'd like to see us not allow this permit at this time due to that facility being at 216 feet.
What is the
So what I was-
attraction for minors that you are basing that
Yeah,
on?
so what I was concerned with is I was concerned with this ruling because it is a Minnesota law, and it's been put into our ordinance. And so what I did is I decided to talk to Ryan Russell at the Office of Cannabis Management. In fact, him and I got off the phone. We've been back and forth a number of times. We got off the phone here at about 5 o'clock, or just when I got here at 4:30. And I asked him, what is an attraction within a public park? And he stated that an attraction can, or he stated the legislation has not said exactly what it is. So I have the definition of an attraction as an action or power of evoking interest, pleasure, or liking for someone or something. So when we say 250 feet of an attraction within a public park, then I went to the next thing where it says regularly used by a minor. And what I found was that no, attractions in a Minnesota public park don't have to be playgrounds. While playgrounds are common and a popular feature, parks in Minnesota also offer a wide variety of attractions, including natural features such as a river, recreational facilities, and educational opportunities. And so I thought, that's their definition of an attraction. So then I thought, well, it'll get me when I say regularly used by minors. Again, the Office of Cannabis Management has stated to me, Mike, we do not know how to read this. The legislature doesn't know how to read it, and use your judgment with your city attorney. So I went, what is regularly used by minors? It says it's a product, service, or activity that is commonly utilized by individuals under the age of 18. That doesn't mean it's exclusively for minors, but they do have activities in that area. And so I thought, there's a possibility that City Park with the Riverwalk down below the park, which is in the real estate property, which is 216 feet from this facility, may fall into not filling our code. So I went one step farther and I said, does the Fergus Falls Riverwalk be done by schools? And the answer was yes. The Fergus Falls Riverwalk is used by schools, particularly the local high school, for outdoor education and recreational activities. So down here on the Riverwalk, there's handouts that they come down and they read about the bushes and the trees and different things on orders. So I thought, well, I'll go one more and see if it's really going to put it. And I asked the question and it says yes. And I haven't clarified with the high school yet, but it says yes. The Fergus Falls Riverwalk is used by School District 544 for educational purposes. The path provides a hands-on learning environment in conjunction with prairie wetlands. The Riverwalk is a cobblestone path that connects downtown Fergus Falls, offering a loop walk with interpretive signs for the education of the kids at the school. So when I read this, I thought, okay, the building's 216 feet, our law is 250. The building has an attraction of a Riverwalk within a public park in our city that is used by minors from our high school, and it doesn't have to have a playground or an athletic field, and it possibly doesn't reach the mustard for our ordinance. So I talked with Ryan Russell at the Office of Cannabis Management today, and we went through this at length, and he says, we don't have an answer for you. He says cities are struggling with the exact thing that you just asked me today. It's one of the most contested things legally and in the legislature at this time. And he said, consult with your city attorney, which I did. And so I would like for Rolf to give a statement or at least an opinion on this matter at this time, because what I think we should do is I think we need to know as a city exactly what our ordinance says, exactly what it means. If it means what I said, that it's a park and it's used by minors at 216 feet, this should not be allowed. if this ordinance is read differently by a judge or somebody at the state of Minnesota or something different that says it is not a park, it is not with children, it is not educational, and it's not that, then they should be allowed to be there at 216 feet. But without a ruling, without us knowing for sure today, I do not think as a council we should do this. And so what I would suggest for the council is to vote it down, because you're coming up on the 60 days, but know the owner of the building and the owner of the establishment that we are doing everything that we can to clarify this for them, and then they will reapply with the ruling. But without a ruling, we're in a tough position. I'll let you speak, Mr. Nickmo, if you would.
Thank you, Councilmember Mortensen. You're correct, and the Office of Cannabis Management is correct, as there's no clarity here from the legislature that helps define what an attraction could be. Obviously, a splash pad would clearly meet that definition. Whether a trail used by students for educational purposes, I don't know if that meets the definition or not. There is no case law. This matter has not been challenged in the courts, as far as I know, so we have no guidance whatsoever in that regard as to whether or not a trail could constitute an attraction as contemplated by the legislature, and who knows what that means. As I indicated to you previously, a lot of cities are struggling with these questions, and we're not getting a whole lot of help from the state. And so whether this trail, is an attraction, I'm not sure what the legislature intended. I think the council can make a decision as to whether or not it feels this meets a definition of an attraction that is regularly used by minors. And if you feel that it does, perhaps, you could vote it down on that basis. But until there's more case law or case law that kind of defines this, we won't know.
Thank you, Ralph. Your Honor, can I have one more thing to say? Ryan Russell at the Office of Cannabis Management and I, we spoke at length, and I told him that I'd spoke with the city attorney, and he said what he would provide me in the next week or two and be provided to you and the city was all the email statements he had made throughout the state involving this exact piece of the cannabis ordinance. And he said this will help assist your city attorney, your mayor, and your city administration to look through and maybe make some different ideas on this. I suggest as a body that we vote this down tonight with the owners knowing, we bring up the second motion that we are going to be in contact with them with the decision that Mr. Nickmo, Mr. Hicks, and Mr. Bremseth come about for us. I don't want it to be the end for them today. I want us to be right for sure, because I don't want us to be wrong.
Laurel.
Thank you, Your Honor. I had some similar questions for city staff in regards to the Riverwalk, and I asked for maps to be provided with distances, and just so public knows, can I talk about those maps for a second? If you go as the crow flies, and this would be from the front of Sugar High's proposed location to the actual Riverwalk, which is down an embankment, it is 249.1 feet to the Riverwalk. And I'm not saying this changes anything Mr. Mortensen has said, but I just want to talk about these distances. If you go to from the Sugar High location to the actual entrance to the Riverwalk at the Cascade Street entrance, that's 389.2 feet. If you go from the City Hall Riverwalk entrance to Sugar High, that's 553.1 feet. I guess I understand that there's concern, and I feel like this council has been dealt kind of a hard hand because we're in a situation where we can't just say no. We have to look at conditions, is my interpretation of this, because of how our ordinances are written and the state law. And as much as this might not be my favorite thing, I've got to take my hat off and look at it from the legal perspective and what I think the council has to do. I feel like we're going to have a moving target if we keep saying things that kids use. At some point, it's going to be downtown, and kids from the schools go to the Center for the Arts. And we have all these different things that kids use. And our cross-country team runs on sidewalks all over town. At what point are we going to let something happen that I think legally we have some exposure if we keep saying no?
Your Honor.
Scott, oh,
Just
yeah.
let me,
You go ahead.
Where would you measure at? That's what I was trying to figure out, where you measured or how your
You,
16 came from.
you measure from the corner of the real property. The law that this city put in effect, the law that they put in their ordinance says from the edge of the real property on which the public park, playground, athletic field. You could, if the real property started here and it was at the land, or was up at RTC, that's the real estate property. So I measured from the corner of 112 Washington, whatever they are, the old dry cleaner, from the corner right to the corner grass of the real estate property of the city hall. That's where the Otter Tail County property is. So I appreciate Councilmember Kildee saying, well, it's 249 to this, 249 to that. The law reads in the ordinance that it's to the edge of the property. So if someone comes in here and wants to, they're going to measure 216, and we're going to have to answer for that. If we know for sure this is not a city park with an attraction, we can answer very boldly, hey, too bad. But if we don't know, we answer at 216, we're doing a disservice to the people of this community. We're doing a disservice to them. Imagine if they put $50,000, $100,000 into this, and all of a sudden somebody comes with a legal thing and says it's 216, we're in trouble.
I think there's somebody on that was on the cannabis committee. I mean, was there any kind of feedback as to like why or how, you know?
Why the what?
How we got to 250 feet?
Not so much the 250, but what was deemed as being a kind of an attraction.
There was nothing. We just had we just put a radius of 250 around different sites, and that's how we kind of come up with it. We did.
And didn't that get pulled?
We had
from
daycares,
alcohol sales too?
treatment centers. Claire, you could, the 3-4 things we went and looked at. Was it daycares, treatment centers?
And attractions within a park.
Right, we were using the parks is what we used, so.
We specifically talked about the attractions within, and that's what we used in discussions with.
When you said, I didn't hear that. Attractions within the park, not the edge of the park. Is that what you're saying?
That's what we had discussed in a small group, from my recollection.
Right, there was just like 4 or 5 different entities we looked at, and we put, well, we used the Sugar High's current location back when we were doing it, and Elevates, and put air, try to, figure out where if it would fall and what would be at, and the council decided on 250 back to that day, so.
What is the state requirement for a buffer, or is there not one?
Your Honor,
There's no requirement.
Yeah.
I'd like to call the question.
Like, so.
Oh, you're talking, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay.
We vote on the amendment first.
Yeah, we're voting.
Oh, you want to?
Business owners maybe speak if we are going to not, really vote on this tonight or vote it down, and then, a couple weeks, what is their time frame? How does this affect their time frame?
If I may say something too, I don't think it matters
We
because
call for the vote, so we're voting as to whether or not
For the amendment.
No, on the amendment. So basically whether we're going to
Allow it.
The first vote is on the amendment. After the amendment is approved or disapproved, then we go on the original resolution.
The original resolution, has been amended by the person who made it and the second.
Okay, yeah,
To change from 2 to 5, so you could just vote on
Yeah,
that question.
yeah, I'm fine with voting on the question because it's been amended and approved by the one making the second motion.
Your Honor, can I ask a clarification before we vote? What is I guess I feel like before we can vote, I need to know what our legal ramifications from Mr. Nicolomo are if we vote yes to this and down the road there is case law that says this is wrong. What risk do we have as a city, or do we have, I know we have the right to change this as it's an interim use, but what risk do we have as a city before we vote on this?
Well, it's a risk if a concerned citizen feels that you made the improper decision to bring some type of legal action against the city, saying that you improperly interpreted your ordinances, and convince a court to agree with that. I say this, crazy people can do crazy things, and they can bring crazy lawsuits too. And whether someone brings a lawsuit or not, we have no control over that. All we can look at is, the question here is whether or not this is an attraction or not, and whether it's regularly frequented by minors or not. And you can make that determination now. And whether someone wishes to challenge you down the road, we have no control over that. So, I mean, and you can vote this down on that basis too, and that could be challenged as well. There's just is no case law or statutory or legislative support either way.
So we come back to the vote. Did you want to just clarify the resolution, if you wouldn't mind? That it is
Approving the interim use permit for Sugar High at 112 East Washington B3 General District Business District with conditions, and it was the conditions that were talked about last week, other than amending the interim use permit from 2 years to 5 years.
so with that, call for the vote.
Hold on.
I couldn't hear that, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Spill it out to us, Anthony, what we're voting for. Are we going to give them
You're voting
for
to
the permit to go
approve-
forward?
To approve going
Sugar High
forward
tonight.
with the condition of restricted hours.
Yep.
No consumption of samples.
Yep.
Sign off with residency above, and moving the 2 years to 5 years
Okay.
for the permit.
And not waiting for the Office of Cannabis Management or the footage. We're going all out if it's
I
a
mean,
yes.
That's the resolution that's
Okay.
on the table.
All right. Yep.
So if this is for the interim use, not the business license, that still has to come back before us at that time?
That is correct.
Thank you.
There's so many permits to this process. It'll never end. Right. Yep, ready. Go for it.
Layton,
No.
Kramer,
No.
Mortensen,
No.
Rachel's,
No.
Kildee,
Yes.
Fish,
Yes.
Job,
Yes.
Kwame.
No.
The resolution fails.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion if I could. I'd like to make a motion that we go forward with discussing with the Office of Cannabis Management, our city attorney, you, the city administrator, and we get to a clear definition of what this is, so we can do that in a timely fashion for the company that's looking at putting it in there, so we know once and for all whether we meet our city ordinance. I make that motion.
Somebody care to second it? Thank you, Al.
I'll second that on behalf of the
I think
investor in the
Al has
building.
already seconded.
I'm sorry.
The-
Can I third it?
You can third it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. The motion is approved.
Your Honor, I just want to clarify with the city attorney. So the council just voted down the interim use permit. And if they were to consider, if the council is going to consider it again, the applicant would have to apply again. And I think the importance of that question is the 60-day rule. So in essence, the 60-day rule is no longer looming or pending because the action was taken to vote this down. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I understand.
We will move on to the resolution approving the interim use permit for Elevate on 214 West Lincoln Avenue in a B3 General Business District with conditions. And obviously, it was the same conditions that apply to Sugar High minus the residency one, as this is a single-story building. So it would be the restricted hours, obviously the same 2-year term, and no sampling or consumption, obviously, no sampling on site.
So I'm going to dirty it up again.
Yep.
If you look at the map, the Elevate goes to Spees Park. It's not, it's close, but I don't think it's 250. So now what do we do with that? That's the parking lot part of Spees Park, or is it not part of the Spees Park?
We
So-
did not include.
I'm just trying to muddle it up a little bit. I know what you're coming from. So
How far is it?
I don't have my map here to do it. I couldn't do it, but
It's 2:30.
yeah, it's yeah.
It's 2:30.
So we stopped one, and now what do we do with the other one? We don't have a definition of Spees Park being a place for events or children.
I mean, the question is there an attraction there for children within that 250 feet? I'm not sure. You know, it makes sense to necessarily include parking lot
Yeah,
as part of the boundary of that attraction, but, you know,
From parcel to parcel, it's 234 feet.
Okay.
And we just did parcel to parcel for
Yeah,
Sugar
it's
High.
parcel to parcel.
Yep.
I think, Your Honor, I think this goes back to the second one. To be fair to everybody in this city, to be fair to both of these businesses, they're going to put who knows amount of money into this. We got to be right on this. We got to be right. And if 250 is our mark, that's our mark, and I think we have to do the same thing. But we also have to assure them that we are getting to the answer and that we're coming back with this with both of them so they know.
So, we don't actually have.
So we'll have to make the motion to vote it, for it, and then vote it down.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Scott.
Resolution, I'm sorry, resolution.
Resolution, I'll second.
Thank you, Jim. So we have a resolution on the table to approve the interim use permit with the conditions as described.
Same
So
as the last one.
hours, et cetera. So
With a 5-year term?
with a 5-year term.
So it's a no again.
So roll call.
Clayton.
No.
Freemeyer.
No.
Mortensen.
No.
Rachels.
No.
Hildy.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Kwame.
No.
So the resolution fails.
Your Honor, is there a way to look at, I understand the previous council looked at this at length. I don't know what the minimum buffer that the state allows is. At some
isn't one.
point, can we get that? Is there a minimum?
It was recommendations, but not a.
Not a minimum. So that was set by the previous council.
Yep.
That
The rec-
helps.
The recommendations, if I may, Your Honor?
Yep.
I'll just make a comment. The recommendations made by the state of Minnesota, the Office of Cannabis Management, was 1,000 feet from schools, 500 from the parks. And the city of Fergus Falls, went 250 across the board with it, which is their right. You could go to 0 if you want. If this council had an appetite to go to 0, you could do that as well. But I want to make that same motion, if I can. Do we need to do that, Your Honor? That same motion to do exactly, do you need me to phrase it out? Because it's...
I mean, I think you're looking at
Okay.
a motion to clarify if Space Park is an attraction or not.
Yes, get to the real root of where we're at with our ordinance of 250 feet.
Can I ask a question? Go ahead and take up your motion, but I do
Okay.
have a clarifying question I'd like to ask the council to think about. I'm not asking that you have a decision or anything like that.
Yep, we need a second for it. Al? Yep, thank you.
You're looking at me anyway.
Yep. So you have the clarifying question.
Well, after you have your vote.
Okay. Right. So,
Say aye.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign.
Okay, so my
The
clarifying.
motion is approved.
Thank you. So my clarifying question is, okay, what's your intent here? I mean, are we looking at 250 feet from an attraction and measuring off of the attraction? Are you looking at 250 feet measuring off of the property? So that's the question. I mean, that's the way it currently reads. So that's the consensus of the council is that's how you want it interpreted?
Your Honor, I would not want to change the ordinance at all at this time that reads 250 feet from the real estate property. I don't think we're in a position to do that. But we need the clarification on the traction and used by minors and that part of it. And I don't want to speak for the council. I'm just saying for myself.
Okay, thank you. So, just so I'm clear, you're talking if there's an attraction located on a park, and then the question is you want to interpret and maintain the ordinance by requiring parcel to parcel measurements. Okay, thank you.
So I think we will move on to,
Presentation of claims.
The presentation of claims in the amount of $3,498,191.34.
I'll offer a resolution to pay the bills.
Thank
I'll
you,
second that.
Jim. Thank you, Laurel. Roll call.
Clayton.
Yes.
Kramer.
Yes.
Mortensen.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Hilton.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Plum.
Yes.
That, the motion, the resolution is approved to pay the bills. The, under kind of old business or unfinished business, kind of a, as I stated on Wednesday, we're gonna look to have a kind of a lightning round of kind of 2 minutes for council members to kind of say something. So I ask that you stick to 2 minutes. We'll cut you off at anything greater than 2 minutes. So just so that everybody is aware. So with that, Mark, you go ahead.
Your Honor, can I step back to H? I thought we were going to get a report, a status report on some of these old businesses, and I would like to see that come.
Thank you. We'll take Julie no. So we'll go from Mark to Al. So Mark, have you got anything to say? 2 minutes?
I do, but I'm going to stand down and do it at the end.
No.
I got to do it now?
Do it now. Otherwise you miss your turn. If you stand down, you're done. Time's ticking.
I have constituents come to me all the time about wanting A, B, C, D, E. Noah talked about the town hall meeting. We talk about old business that's not been named. We talk about a planning commission making a decision on either ownership of a home or property by a legal entity, placement of a garage on an empty lot. I'm very concerned about the reaction time that we have on these open items. I talked to Andrew, and he said, well, the committees bring their recommendations to the council, and the council can act. If I had authority right now, I would make a motion that we could put a garage on an empty lot. If the committees can't come towards us with a recommendation, I think it needs all committees need to be reviewed. And if they can't make those decisions, I think it should go to the council at the next meeting and let them make those arrangements. Again, I'm a businessman. I'm a bottom line guy. Mr. Herzog probably heard that. This is going too slow for me. I've had people telling me that we should have this and this and this. And I can show you about 300 emails, and I'm exaggerating, 20 emails that have requested this information in the past. I yield my time to Mr. Kramer.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
He finished early, I think.
Yeah, he did. It was good.
I just want to make a comment regarding the North Point letter and what was said. Very disappointed. Up until that point, the week before, everything was in agreement. Everything was moving forward. We were all in agreement with economic development. So we were all united. I just want the newspaper to realize this. So please take note that we were all united. It was at one point on that day of our meeting, somebody talked to them personally. And that, I believe, changed the vote. Their vote on going with us. And that's fine. They can do that. But as council members, I'm very careful. I will be very careful myself on reaching out in any kind of a rogue way. I don't believe that's right. I think that gave some very bad publicity to our council, which was not deserved. I'm very disappointed with that. I believe that letter was not professionally written and thought out, and I hope they think about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Mike?
Your Honor, I appreciate it. I'm going to be as quick, but I'm right at a minute 59. I don't usually write letters this way, but I want to start off just speaking to everybody in the city. I want to thank everybody that reached out to me and gave me well wishes after I'd had a letter to the editor in the newspaper and some other article stuff. I have true friends in this community, and I thank every single one of you for what you did for me. I've lived here my whole life. A month ago, I thanked this council and stated to them how proud I was that we are on this journey for economic development in our city. That has not changed. It has only grown as I've got to know these people on the council. The economic development mission in my eyes has never wavered. That mission in my eyes has never changed. My vision, our vision, has never needed someone from the outside to tell us what to do. We just needed partners along the way, partners that are willing to take the journey with us to do something great for the city we call home. From the initial days of our new administration, we have yearned to discuss economic development. From the days of the retreat and to our meetings, it was great to make our city better, make our city the best it can be. I speak to all of you today on the council, and I say that I know no one will stop us from doing what is right and doing it together for our friends, our neighbors, for our children in this community. No letter, no newspaper article, no person can stop us as a group from doing what is right, doing what is needed, doing what we as a council feels best for everyone we care for and the businesses that need us. Our time on the council will come and go, but our time of how we lay out the future for our businesses is right now. Together, we as a council look forward with a vision and not backwards to the past. Things happen for a reason, and all of you on this council are here right now for that reason. Let's do what's right, come together, and move economic development forward today for everyone. Our city's success depends on it. My fellow council members, be bold, be strong, be steadfast in changing the economic landscape for Fergus Falls now and forever. Don't look to the past for answers. Look to the future. Our best days are yet to come.
Thank you, Mike.
You did good.
Scott?
I'm just gonna not quite write like Mike did, but one of the things that economic development is a big thing of a conversation for the first 4 months of this council. But one thing we have to remember is them dang streets. And I know it's gonna cost us money, but we have to not only I'm not saying overlook economic, I'm just saying we have to keep our eye on the street thing. We have to have a work session on it. I think we need to go back to this. You hear about that every single day in this town about our streets. Economic development is very important, but in 2 weeks we'll come back with after our little homework that I don't like with Anthony give me, but we'll work on that too. But let's just remember that the streets are very important to us too.
Thank you. Laurel?
Well, I think between Scott and Mike, they kind of touched on the topics I was going to, so I'm not going to read what I had written, but I will echo that I agree we need to move forward on both economic development and streets and looking at that long-range plan for our infrastructure. But the other thing I'd like to say is I was at the Relief Association board meeting at the fire hall today, and I would like to encourage everyone listening to go on Sunday from 7:30 to 1 to our firefighters pancake feed and support that group. They work very hard as volunteer firefighters and our staff over there, and it's important we go and support them.
Thank you. Jim?
I, like Scott, we need to take care of our roads. And I've got another little piece too, but the roads are fine during the winter because all the potholes are filled with ice, so they're pretty smooth. But we're at the point now where the potholes are really starting to show up, and we need to do something. The other little problem that we have out in our area, and I don't know if anybody else has it, but we have some coyotes. One of the people on Scenic Drive has cameras. They're in Arizona all winter, but they have cameras that show what's going on, and they've had coyotes coming through their yard every night. Now, last Thursday, when we put garbage out Wednesday because there was no pickup, my garbage can was tipped over and something went through it. We have no dogs running in our area, so I'm thinking it's a coyote there too, so it might be something that we need to watch out for.
You didn't back over it?
Pardon?
You didn't back over it?
No.
Just making sure.
And
Jim, that was me.
It was during the night that this happened, so I do have a 22.
Yeah. I mean, it would just remind you that it is illegal to shoot them in the city limits or fire with a gun.
Well, it's middle of the night, nobody's gonna know.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
We didn't hear you say that.
Yeah.
Say what?
Yeah.
It's illegal for the coyote to come into town.
Laurel? Laura, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just want to make the comment that we will be gearing up here for the budget committee pretty soon, or the tax levy. So I'm guessing probably next month we're going to start working on that. We'll be discussing roads at length with that. So that's going to be coming up.
Thank you.
Can I use her last 45 minutes or seconds?
No, Scott?
The focus that you gave us in this assignment was specifically on economic development, but I understand that roads and the other questions, whether it's coyotes or other things, play into it. But I think that if we as a city council find a way somehow within the next year to secure a contract for a Target store to move to town, it wouldn't matter what else we did. We could burn this building down and the city would go up in cheers because now we've got a Target. I think that the way that the economic development is measured by the people in town often is just, by the retail, which we don't have a lot to do with. To give incentives to retail and essentially bring competition to existing retail, that's a difficult and touchy thing. But we can do a lot to bring in companies that provide jobs, industrial stuff, manufacturing, and I think that we can focus on that, and I'd like to see us focus on that. Several times over the last 6 years, I've heard the staff suggest, encourage us to try and put together something along the way of a long-term strategic plan, or sometimes called a comprehensive plan. And there have been, in those suggestions, references to how, had we had one in place, we might have qualified for this grant or for this funding source. And I think that we need to take a closer look at those things. Having defined goals will make it possible for us to win funding in certain cases, I believe, and I think that we need to take a closer look at what it might cost us to put together a strategic plan, a long-term plan, a comprehensive plan. And then the last comment I'd make is I think that our strengths are in our existing businesses. To go out and try and land some home run with some company that's going to come in and land, throw 200 jobs onto our place is one thing. But if we had 20 companies in town, each gain 10, we'd have those 200 jobs and we'd have a stronger economy for it. And we're good at some things here in town. We've got good health care. We've got good senior care. We've got good recreation. We're in a great spot for transportation. We've got a safe, clean culture here, and it's attractive. And my time is up. Thank you.
Anthony, can I just respond to Jim for a second? I had the last snow we had, I had a fox run down Vine Street. It was really cool.
Right. And with that, from a miscellaneous, thank you all for contributing in that exercise. Yeah. Miscellaneous announcements are that April 24th at 9:30 there is a Board of Equalization meeting in the Ottawa County Government Services. That's open to obviously residents in the city that have questions on their property tax. They can go, and obviously there'll be council members, I think.
Now me.
No, Gildy, I think Mark is on it.
Yeah, I would ask everybody in the city that if they've got their statements to email them to me. I'd love to look at them. I've seen properties go up that should go down, and I've seen properties that went down should go up. There's no rhyme to reason on the valuations. Thank you.
Assessment hearing is for residents to bring those to the council.
Yep.
As a whole, not to an individual council member.
Yep.
There's a process you'll learn about on Thursday.
Yep. Then April 30th at 7 o'clock, there's a committee of the whole meeting. May 5th, the city council meeting. And then May 7th, presentation of economic development plans at a work session. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
What time was that work session?
7 o'clock.